Sorry, you can't see the entire screen because it's so enlarged. You see, there's no biology 4 because it's not listed as a prerequisite. It's listed, textually within another prerequisite. And that's an issue, okay?
Thanks.
So it was the same case with biology 2 and 20A. It was an either or, and they had biology 20, and then below it, they had typed in or 2. I separated it out. So this is what it should look like, okay? Another thing I really want us to be aware of, and this is mainly for CE courses and especially for allied health courses, those type of courses frequently have non-course requirements such as health clearances, CPR certification, that type of thing. We should really start listing those not as a prerequisite because that's not what it is. There's a category when you create a requisite that is called other. For example, health and safety. And we should use that, I think, just to make it really clear. Because it's not a course. So in this case, that would apply to this portion. So you either have to have health education 11, and I don't know if they really intended this to be an alternative for health 11, but this whole thing here should really be an other. Does that make sense?
I don't know, because it seems to me that the CPR certification.
Yeah, I believe that particular part of this non-course requirement really is an alternative option to
Right.
Health 11, but this isn't. Right here, health clearances, physical examination, negative TB. I think that's in general for the course. At least that's the way it's listed in the catalog.
Mm.
So I would recommend taking this part and making it an other instead of a prerequisite.
I agree with you, Neem.
Okay. Comments about that?
Hi, Neem. This is Paul Roger. I just wanted you to know that I'm on the call. I'm calling from my cell phone.
Okay, thanks,
No
Paul.
comments, though.
Okay. Another thing I want to point out about these nursing courses, and this also applies to other types of allied health clinical courses, it does not matter how you schedule the course in terms of units. The units and the hours as listed on the course outline of record have to align. So even if you schedule a course as a short-term course over, let's say, 6 or 8 weeks, you still have to list the hours as though it were a full-term, full semester course, because that's what determines the units, and that has to match up, right? So yeah, you might schedule this course within, like, say 1 week, and the students are, like in clinical rotation or whatever, 6-8 hours a day. But that's not what you put here. And I think that was an issue of a lot of the nursing courses. The hours as listed on the core do not reflect how the course is scheduled per se. It reflects how many hours the students must complete in order to earn these number of units. And they have to match, okay? So LaShawn, for this particular course, could you work with the nursing faculty to split up those prerequisites, and then they need to be validated as well, okay?
Yes.
And then you see here, this is how I think it should be listed so that it's clearer for students. I broke out the health clearances as other. And then for the requisites that have options, I'm pairing them within parentheses so that it's clear that it's either one or the other.
Recording in progress.
This class is part of the program, right?
Yeah.
This is a willful violation of Brown Act, AB 2257. This is a criminal act through its willfulness and must cease immediately.
Michael, thank you for your announcement, but we are not ending the meeting. So if you have
All
nothing
parties
further
are
to add,
complicit. This is already in the process of being reported. You are ordered to cease and desist under the legal authority provided to all citizens on this subject.
Cooper, you have no authority to end this meeting. And if you keep
Every
interrupting,
citizen has
then
the
I
authority to
will-
end a violation of Brown Act of this sort. This has been hidden from public access. It must end. All of this information is provided in the link in the chat.
Sorry about that, you guys. So that takes care of nursing 1, and we can move on to nursing 3A. I also have a question about this course in terms of prerequisites. Yes, Rose.
Well, I was going to ask you, it says that one of the prereqs is elementary algebra,
Mm-hmm.
but to get into the program, you have to have intermediate algebra. So I'm not sure why that elementary algebra would be listed.
That's a good question, and that's probably
Well,
something
that's
we should.
exactly what I was going to ask. And then beyond that, sorry for interrupting, but if you take a look at biology 3, right, you can't even get into micro without taking chem. And chem has a math prereq, and I just think that they took kind of a kitchen sink approach to all of this, which may be fine. Maybe they feel like you got to have at least elementary algebra to do what they're doing in here, but and I don't know if we need to trouble ourselves with this, but
So would your recommendation be that they get rid of the math requirement altogether? For 2 reasons. First of all, like you stated, Rose, their program itself has a qualification requirement of intermediate algebra, right?
Right.
And then all associate degrees require at least elementary algebra anyway. Intermediate algebra, yeah.
Right.
So this is really
Redundant.
And it kind of presents students with a wrong impression of what's required to take this course, right?
Right. And once they're already in the program and in the class, it's a moot point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So LaShawn and I will talk to the nursing department about that then. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, so nursing 3A, the prerequisites were changed from what is in the existing course and what is in the catalog. So the catalog has prerequisite nursing 1, 11, and 12. And then 13 is either a prerequisite or a co-requisite. But in the modification proposal, all 4 courses are listed as prerequisites. Does anyone have any knowledge about this course that they can provide? It's too bad nursing faculty aren't here to kind of help us with this. Maybe we should invite them next time.
Sorry, Neem, I am so kind of distracted by the undercurrent. Can you say that again?
Sure. So the modification proposal, the change proposal, has a revision in the prerequisites. In the active course, only the first 3 courses are prerequisites. Nursing 13 is listed as either a prerequisite or a co-requisite.
Yeah, I worked with the originator of this proposal, and that's not something that I caught. So I will reconnect with her and get clarification as to whether that was intentional or not, that change.
Another change to this course was actually in the course description, so I just want to point that out to you guys as well. This is the active course. You see that the active course description does not conform to the standard course description that we use in Peralta. And so it was revised. And this is what it looks like now. I've noticed in some course descriptions that details such as whether the course has a lab component or like different modalities for delivery are included. That type of information really shouldn't be included. The course outline already contains that information in other sections. And so we don't really want this in course descriptions because it's redundant and it really doesn't belong in the actual official description of the course. And in this case, it was taken out. So that's good. Okay, any questions, other questions about 3A? And then nursing 5, again, there is an issue with the prerequisites. They do not match what is in the current catalog or what is in Koki. And so I want to revisit that again with the nursing faculty. Something else I wanted to point out to you guys. Oh yeah, repeatability. Everyone should know that by now that almost no credit courses are repeatable. That's just the blanket rule. There are very limited exceptions to that rule, and they are very specific. But in general, if you see a credit course, it should never be repeatable. And if it is, then please look into it. In this example, nursing 5, you can see that the initiator indicated that it's repeatable. And then for justification, they stated it can be repeated if the student meets the readmission policy of the ADN program. Well, I don't know what that means because that has no bearing on whether it's repeatable or not. It's not up to the program to decide if a course is repeatable. And so just pay attention to that. Any questions about that?
So basically, it shouldn't be yes, should be, it's not repeatable for credit courses for the free.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay.
repeatable doesn't mean if you fail it, take it again, you can take it again.
Yeah, that's already a given. That's
Right.
that is one of the exceptions to repeatability. So there's no need to state that it's repeatable if students fail.
Okay.
In general, it's not repeatable.
That's why we should have non-credit courses that mimics these credit courses, and that's going to help, the students to improve the outcome.
Mhm. Okay. I think those are all of the proposals on our agenda. So I would recommend tabling nursing 1, 3A, and 5 for further discussion with the nursing faculty. And I will consider a motion to do that.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, if there are no objections, then we will table the approval of nursing 1, 3A, and 5. And then the rest of the courses we need to approve are the deactivation of Landhorde 3 and 3E, and the deactivation of nursing 15A, 15B, 48NB, 48NC, 250, 270, 275, 348NA, 348NB through NI, as well as the deactivation of Nutrition 25. Is there a motion to approve those proposals?
So moved.
Thanks, Steve. And a second.
I second.
Thanks, Rose. If there are no objections, those proposals are approved and we are done with our curriculum proposals for this meeting. And we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is participatory governance input into the educational master plan. I have been sent an email from the Institutional Effectiveness Committee asking for our feedback and comment on what our priorities as a committee are to inform the development of our new educational master plan. If you guys don't know, our existing educational master plan expired last year. It was a 5-year plan from 2015 to 2020. So now we are in the process of creating a new 5-year master plan. And the committee charged with that, the Institutional Effectiveness Committee, would like our input. So these are the questions that they asked, and I just wanted to open up to you guys for your feedback. So in terms of long-term goals for the committee for the next 5 years, what do you see this committee working on or prioritizing or really advocating for in terms of curriculum and curricular-related activities on campus? Anyone?
Neem, I'd like to see the transfer degrees made for merit for various departments. I know Jason, Dean Holloway, and Dean Amboy both were interested in those.
Okay.
So,
And are you speaking specifically of the ADTs, the associate degrees for transfer to CSU, or just transfer-oriented degrees?
transfer to CSU, yes.
Right? Yeah. Anyone else? I think some of the goals that we have this year as a committee really should be long-term goals as well. If we have to continue talking about student equity and the impact of curriculum on student equity in terms of
continuing to make course review and updates current. That's just has to be an ongoing priority.
Yeah, along the lines of equity, I remember Courtney Brown mentioned something that we should move a lot of the curriculum to be 25% of the curriculum to be available on phones, as we've moved to computers, but because of equity, a lot of people don't have a computer access all the time. And that seemed like a good one of pushing everyone to think about that. I don't know, is that appropriate to put here?
Yeah, I think so. So you're really talking about equity in terms of access to courses.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I see.
I believe the phrase.
Sorry, Courtney.
You might include. Sorry.
Dr. Richardson.
I believe the phrase you might. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Richardson.
I just wanted to share. Do we want to also include that we want all courses where possible to have a formally approved DE addendum? I know that there's some that we want to retain for face-to-face, but would that be a goal?
I mean, we can definitely discuss it. Personally, I'm not in favor of that. I see where you're coming from just in terms of having the college prepared for emergencies. But I really think that it should not be done as a kind of a bulk treatment for all curriculum. I really think, and I think faculty need to consider each course by itself and whether it's appropriate for DE.
I agree. And that's why I had the caveat where appropriate for those classes where, it is where it does fit. There are some that are by design, face-to-face, and that should retain that status exclusively. So to your point, I think we're on the same page.
We can definitely include that. What do people think?
I'd be fine with that.
Any other ideas for priorities within the next 5 years?
I just wanted to quickly co-sign what Steve said about the ongoing. If we could have in place an actual cycle of that we formalize and have in place for making sure that updates are in place. And I know I think you pretty much have that, but just maybe memorializing that somehow in our Ed Master Plan would be helpful.
Okay. I'm not sure that the EMP is the appropriate place for that type of information. I would like to see it become a permanent part of our program review and APU templates, which was what we always intended when we started the whole curriculum review campaign. But so far as the EMP, I think probably the IEC needs to determine, what level of granularity they want in the plan.
I think to include the fact that we have one rather than to actually include it would be sufficient.
Okay. Are there any other ideas?
I was going to add, maybe there could be something in terms of making all courses being in the areas of interest framework, just to kind of align with guided pathways. If that makes any sense for.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We really need to start promoting our areas of interest and speaking of curriculum in terms of pathways and not just as individual courses and programs. So that's a great idea. Also, along the lines of DE that the VPI was talking about earlier, I think something that we could constructively do is encourage those faculty in those areas went entirely online to really start refining their courses to meet both the Peralta online equity rubric and the OEI rubrics, right? If we do that, then our courses will become part of the online exchange, and students all over the state could take them, and that would improve our enrollment. How do people feel about that?
think that makes a lot of sense.
As far as question number 4, asking us to specify the goals and deliverables, I'm glad you're here, Dr. Richardson, because I would have to say that committees usually do not have long-term goals like that. So it's very hard for us to specify that. I don't know who else here is on the IEC. Are you, Jason?
I believe so.
Okay. So if you could just let them know that I don't know that they're going to get much response in terms of 5-year long-term goals from committees. Most of our standing committees, really work on a semester-to-semester basis. And we do have yearly goals, but it's harder for us to establish long-term goals when our memberships are constantly changing. Our priorities are changing based on what the college is doing each year. So I don't know that it's even smart for us to have 5-year goals for a committee.
I think what we've already recommended may be sufficient. I don't think we have to, look for a whole lot of stuff. Just to your point, it is difficult to do that kind of planning. We just want to focus on those things that we know will be important, 5 years from now.
But just to let you, just in case the IEC is wondering why they're not getting substantive response to this question, I wouldn't be comfortable setting a target for 5 years out in terms of some of these goals, because I'm not going to be around, and I don't want to hold the committee accountable for something that I came up with, so. And then in terms of support and resources to achieve some of these things that we're talking about, what do you think the committee would need from the college to really engage meaningfully in these activities?
One thing that comes to mind for me is maybe for us to get a little bit of training on the whole equity rubric thing so we can evaluate it in a more thorough way.
That's a great idea, Rose. Thanks. One question I have for you is, these are really laudable goals or kind of aspirations that we have. And we know that they will greatly help students and improve student outcomes. But in a way, these are huge, institutional goals. This committee alone can't take all of this on and make it work. And so my question for you is, do you feel and this is particularly for the full-time faculty members, do you feel that your work on this committee, if it were to engage in all of these activities, would require additional compensation, that it would be over and above the 10 hours a week that you're required to put in per contract? This committee already does a lot of work just in day-to-day approval of curriculum, right? And when we put on top of that, these initiatives.
It is hard to figure out. It's hard to picture how that would look doing that kind of work from meeting to meeting or, month to month. But so I don't know what compensation would really look like. I don't know.
Me either. I don't know. I guess I just feel like, I don't know if I can add to what Rose said. I think that's part of the work that we do on this committee.
Any other ideas in terms of support or training? Especially, I think training is vital.
I thought that the support that we got from administration about getting course outlines current and updated was actually very helpful and needed a lot. So I guess you could put something like continued support from the administration to urge faculty to get their courses updated.
Okay. Yeah, so administrative advocacy and prioritization of compliance with curricular regulations. Okay. I will wait to submit these. I will put together, all of these ideas that we have. But if you come up with any other suggestions, feel free to email me. I'll probably wait until next week to submit this to give you a chance to think about it a little. But thank you for your input, and hopefully this will be a good piece of information that the Institutional Effectiveness Committee can use to craft our new EMP. I do want to draw your attention to two big professional development opportunities that are coming up. First, at the end of April 30th through the 1st, is the annual Career and Non-Credit Education Institute. This particular conference is really geared towards developing CE and non-traditional pathways for students. And so if you're interested in those things, I would definitely recommend you register. It's only $50 and it's going to be entirely online again. And then we will have our regular annual Curriculum Institute in the summer. This year it's from July 7th through the 9th, and it's a $200 registration fee. Again, it will be entirely online. And if you have not attended one of these, I really recommend that you do. It's a great learning experience, and especially if you're new or newer to curriculum, there's just a wealth of information that's shared at the Curriculum Institute that you would otherwise not be exposed to as a faculty member.
Neem, could you share those dates again, please, for the
Sure.
Curriculum Institute?
Curriculum Institute is July 7th through the 9th.
Thank you.
And if you need more information, feel free to contact me about it. LaShawn, do you have any updates about catalog production and review?
Yes. So I want to thank those of you who have reviewed sections of the catalog. That's extremely helpful. So right now we still are on track to publish the online catalog April 13th. Yeah, we're still on track. Our timeline is still on track. I did get an email. I don't have much information about it at this point, but hopefully it can be reconciled by April 13th. But there's I was just notified that there's some screen reader software that is not compatible with the catalog PDF. So a technical hiccup, unforeseen. But hopefully that will not affect our online publication date of April 13th. So yeah, we're in a good place with it.
Great.
I also have a bit of news related to the catalog. LaShawn and I met yesterday with our curriculum counterparts from the other Peralta colleges, and one of the things we learned excuse me, is that the district is moving forward with purchasing the catalog module for Curricunet. What that means is that moving forward, we are going to use the data from Curricunet to populate our catalog. And it's going to be formatted based on what this module provides us. And we're going to have to use it because the district has already agreed to pay for it. This is news to me. Supposedly, VC Brown shared this information with the VPIs, but we've had a lot of change in leadership, so it possibly slipped through the cracks. But the way that we have been producing the catalog is going to change very shortly. And that's all the more reason why we have to make sure that our curriculum inventory is accurate and up to date, because the catalog information is going to come directly from the course proposals and the program proposals in Curricullum.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments about that, Dr. Richardson? Were you aware of this?
I was aware in that there was a meeting held where it was rolled out, but I had another critical meeting here at Merit, so I couldn't attend that meeting. I have reached out to them and asked them to provide me with an update on what was decided. As soon as I get that information, I'll share it with the committee.
Okay. We actually talked about it, and Amani says she would be happy to set up a demo with Curricullum for any of us who are interested in finding out more about what this module does. But I know that COA is very gung-ho to get started with it. I think they're going to use it for not this coming year's catalog, which is already in the works, but 2021, 22.
Right.
Say that again.
22, 23. Yeah.
Say that again. You know that COA is what?
They're really keen to start using the new module.
Oh, okay.
They want to start producing their catalog through it right away.
Great.
Yeah.
So please announce when that meeting occurs, because I'm really interested to see what that product looks like. I kind of like what we have already, so I'm a bit reticent, but we'll see what we'll see what they have to share with us.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last item on our agenda, again, is just a check-in on your technical review to see if you have any concerns or questions. We talked about some of those things when we were considering the proposals, but if you have other questions, now's the time to let us know.
I have one question. The learning resources classes that came to the committee today, that's one of the disciplines that I was assigned, but I didn't get another notification about any updates to it. So I'm just not as sure as I'm not as clear about the process as I thought I was.
Okay, so I don't believe that you actually, maybe you did for some of them, but I don't believe that you requested changes for all of them. So you wouldn't get notification if you didn't request a change.
Only for, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If I went in there and I intervened and I took the proposal and approved it myself, then you wouldn't get a notification.
Okay.
And that's what I did when you, emailed me and LaShawn about some of the issues you were encountering.
Right, okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Okay. Any announcements or news you would like to share with the committee before we adjourn? Okay, if not, our next meeting is on April 5th. I'm sorry, on April 8th, and then CIPD is meeting on April 5th. So have a great spring break, everyone, and we'll see you back next month.
If the meeting is adjourning, I wonder if I could impose on you, Neem and LaShawn, to just stick around for just a sec, since I've got
the recording has stopped.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. I'm out. Take care. Have a good break.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I met with Shabazz this morning for fairly close to almost 2 hours. Originally, we gathered to meet about the 2 econ courses that are, got conditional approval, and then
actually, Steve, if I may stop you, I will send you a link, you and LaShawn a link, so we can continue the conversation, okay?
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, see you soon.
All right.